At this time, we will call the meeting of the Kansas City Commission to order.
We're not quite live yet, Mayor.
Okay, we'll give it a minute or two then, so. Green button is on.
You don't like it? We're live now, Mayor.
He's got something on his face.
All right, still 4:34, and we'll call the meeting to order here. So, we're glad to have all the students in the room, this packed house. You know, we'll take a full house one way or another, so glad y'all are here today. So, with that, Commissioner Ray, would you lead us in?
Sure. Father, we come before you. Father, we are asking that you bless this meeting and give us guidance, and give us wisdom. Father, we also ask that today our country it's an important day for our country, and we pray that you will be with the election process. Father, I also lift up the students that are here today. I thank you for them. I pray that you give them safety and you give them a good semester. Again, I ask for your guidance in this meeting, and we ask these things in your name. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, that takes us to the approval of the minutes of the meeting of October 17th, 2022.
Mayor, I looked over them, and if there are no changes, I make a motion that we approve those minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as written. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. The motion passes. Item number 5, public comment. Comments by interested citizens. Gretchen.
We have a lot of interested citizens, I think, but nobody signed in to speak, Mayor.
All right, good deal. Item number 6. Consider and take appropriate action on second and final reading of resolution number 25-2022, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Canyon approving project funding agreement between 806 Fit LLC and Canyon Economic Development Corporation relating to business expansion in Canyon. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Jim Bryan. I'm president of our Canyon Economic Development Corp Board. And today we've got a project we're bringing during our September 8th, 2022 meeting of the Canyon Economic Development Corporation, CEDC. We approved project funding for 806 Fit LLC for business expansion. Our total funding for this project is $100,000, and the funds would be dispersed from the CEDC. A public hearing was held October 13th, and there was no opposition for the project funding. It is recommended to staff to approve resolution number 24-2022.
Are any questions? I move that we adopt resolution number 25-2022.
Second. Have a motion and a second to adopt a resolution 25-2022. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. That motion passes. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
I'll open up a couple of chairs for some students to sit down. Thank you.
It's an excuse for you to run off on it. Thank you all. Okay, item number 7, consider and take appropriate action on request from Aurelio Rivas for the continued donation of water for the Canyon Community Garden located between 1st and 2nd Avenue and 18th and 19th Street. Gretchen.
Yes, Mr. Rivas has previously he was working with Kiwanis. They aren't involved in this community garden anymore, but he has continued to provide that service for the citizens of Canyon. I did include the resolution where we defined what a community garden would be, and one of the things is that when it's a personal community garden, they have to provide unlimited. There's no limits on how much people can go pick from that garden. In the past, we have provided water for that garden to be nourished. And I have also included a screenshot of where that garden is located. It's kind of back behind Feldman's and those apartments. You can see Feldman's over here where the white star is, where the garden is at. And so Mr. Rivas is just here to request water for another year, and he is present for questions if y'all have any for him.
Rudy, do several other people come in and use the produce and all too then, or you have quite a few other folks that come in, or how's it work?
We have, are you asking how many people come in to pick the?
Right, and use of the produce there. So,
Well, I have been there, there's probably close to 300 or 400 people. But I'm only there in the evenings or the afternoons, and we have a lot of people that come by and pick, especially the elderly. I
Thank
do
you.
all the upkeep, and the only thing I do require is that the people that pick reasonably and not just, pick the whole garden for a couple people.
And so you're saying for one more year, Gretchen, do we have the possibility of making it a couple of years to not bring it up then?
I certainly think that's up to you as a governing board here if you want to change that.
Would entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the request from Mr. Rivas, continued donation of water for the Canyon Community Garden located between First and Second Avenue and 18th and 19th Street in Canyon
For a duration of 2 years.
for 2 years.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Well,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Neat deal for a community there. Rick. All right, item number 8 is to consider and take appropriate action on resolution number 26-2022. A resolution of the City of Canyon, Texas, supporting the application and acceptance of a FEMA AFG grant for the purchase of self-contained breathing apparatus and associated equipment for the Canyon Fire Department, and authorizing the fire chief to represent the city in all matters pertaining to the administration of the grant. Chief Wynn?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. As we talked about before, our current inventory of self-contained breathing apparatus, SCBA, air packs, whatever you want to call them, they were purchased back in 2004. So we're coming up on a 20-year mark on these SCBAs. Due to the age of the apparatus, replacement and repair parts have become obsolete, as we found out just about a month ago when we had our inventory recertified. Many repairs had to be made. Parts were very limited. In fact, we were unable to repair all of our SCBA, but we got the majority of them back on. Since the repairs and recertification, we've already had 3 units go back out of service, and there are no repair parts available. So therefore, we need to replace the inventory of our SCBA. There's been a lot of upgrades made in the last nearly 20 years to SCBA, a lot of better safety functions. Low air alarms go off earlier now. We have the availability to have Bluetooth communications from our air masks to our radios, which greatly enhance the communication. If you've never heard of a firefighter trying to talk over the radio with their SCBA on, it's just a bunch of garble basically, and they have to talk really slow, really plain, and they're already under physical stress at the time, so they're breathing hard while they're doing that. So that's one of the big things right there. They're more ergonomically designed now, which makes them more comfortable to wear, and they're lighter as well. As you can see in the memo, the recent quote, and that quote was received just a few weeks ago, estimated projected cost to replace the 30 SCBA with an extra air cylinder is over $300,000, $332,000, just a little bit more than that. This was asked for in the budget, however, due to funding, it was not available, so it was decided that this would be the best option to try to obtain these. FEMA, as y'all are aware, we had a SAFER grant, which appears that it's not going to be a successful grant application, but they also have equipment grants in which SCBA are included in those equipment grants. Past funding on those is that the federal government will provide 90% of the purchase cost with a 10% match on our side should the grant be awarded. And those funds, matching funds, are in the current budget this year. So therefore, we're asking for permission, number one, to apply for the grant. We have found a professional grant writer that will write our grant for us. They advertise on equipment grants that they're 75% successful with those grants. And we'd like to pursue applying for the grant for the air pack replacements and go forward with it.
This will also do heads-up display as well
Yes,
on the mask.
yes. Heads-up displays on our 2004 models are what's giving us the problems right now. And the company that came in, they scoured the whole nation to find as many as they could. And like I said, they were still short a few on repairing some of our heads-up displays. It's also, these SCBA would have a tracking system. So in the command unit, we were able to track the location of firefighters on the scene and monitor like their air supply, how much air they have. And like I said, the enhanced communications is a big deal as well. It's not a guaranteed grant. It's a competitive grant, just like the SAFER grant was. So application period would be in January with estimated awards being in June and July of next year.
How does that work, hiring a grant writer? You guys pay them or?
Yes, it's a contractual service. We come in and basically we pay half their fee up front, and then we pay the second half of their fee once their grant is completed and ready to submit.
How much is that fee?
Do you remember?
I think it was
15,000?
1,500. 15 or 1,600, I think is what it.
It was under $2,000. But this grant writing company, they specialize in writing FEMA grants for firefighter grants.
Specific in this area.
So they know the information that the scorers that look at the grants, they know the information that they're looking for, the key terms, the key words. And like I said, they advertise a 75% success rate.
We intend, when we bring the SAFER grant back, either later this month or early December, we would utilize the same outfit to apply for that. They even have an even higher success rate
For SAFER grants, they advertise a 95% success rate.
hard to beat that.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt resolution 26, 2022, authorizing the fire department to pursue the application of FEMA AFG grant to replace the current SCBA and associated equipment.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of adopting resolution number 26-2022, signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign.
Thank you.
Passes. Thank you, Chief Quinn. All right, item number 9, to consider and take appropriate action on resolution number 27-2022. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Canyon, Texas, prescribing limitations on parking or standing motor vehicles or trailers during parade to be held December 3rd, 2022. Chief Brusher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm here today asking for a resolution to enact ordinance 892, which authorizes us to close down the certain sections of Fourth Avenue to have a parade and to block parking. The parade this year for the Christmas lights, or whatever we're gonna call it, is gonna be on December 3rd. That's a Saturday evening. It will start at the Happy State Bank and go west on 4th Street to 15th, where it'll turn and circle around the square. The same plan as last year, and then they're making some other plans for later in the evening to kind of make it'll be a big deal, but I'm gonna need to close that street, and so I'm asking for a resolution to enact the ordinance to allow me to do that.
I move that we approve resolution number 27-2022.
Second.
Have a motion and second to approve resolution number 27-2022. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, item number 10, consider and take appropriate action on presentation of City of Canyon 2022 strategic plan third quarter update. John?
I believe this is the item everyone's been looking forward to, so I appreciate y'all coming tonight to hear this
It's
item.
usually take a couple hours.
Okay, yeah, so I'll try to move a little quicker.
The details in there, yeah.
All right, well, we're gonna move through our strategic plan report. A little update on that. I got an email just today, forwarded to Joe from Lyle's wife, Julie, talking about update and coming again and seeing us and what we want to do. So we'll be talking about that in the near future. Let's move quickly here. Strategic goal number 1, high-performing city team providing valued services. The first 2 items there we've been working on with Sims and Architects. We met with them during the last hurricane in Florida because the Ian, our police and fire consultant, was in Florida, so he was talking about the rain and those kind of things. It was filling sandbags before he met with us on the Zoom call. But he met with us and we've moved along. I contacted Sheila earlier this week. Right now, the fire department and police department are looking at the ideas that were thrown out, looking at the number of rooms that they need, looking at some square footage and those type items. We'll be sending that back to Sims and to Ian, their consultant, and we should see some drawings, some basic ideas in the next month or so. So Sheila's is ready to roll with that. So we'll be seeing that. Capital improvement plan, we're moving along with that. As y'all know, we have already adopted that for this year. We have our 2 projects, which are I think we're very close on the 4th Street pump station work. And then on the second project is the force main out to the farm. And I know they're still working on that one as far as design. Randall County, we've completed that. We continue to work with them on a regular basis. Succession plan, actually Hector and Gretchen we've been trying to meet. My original memo was from 8/11/22. We've been trying to meet for a couple of months, so we finally got our date tomorrow. We're gonna talk about the succession plan and have some real ideas on where to move on that. Focused on those positions first initially that are critical. Not necessarily, if we drew up, they might not be a supervisor. It might be someone that has a critical job. The person has to push the button to keep everything running every day. We need that person more than we might need our police chief on a daily basis, because we have such an operation in the police department that they can run without him for a few days. Whereas we need that one person, whatever that other thing is that we need the most critical. We'll start with those positions first and then broaden our focus on succession plans. Asset management, as you know, we postponed that.
That'll also include future staff expansion.
Yes, future staff expansion, preparing for those positions, looking at how we would develop people to slide into those positions as we grow. Assets management, as you know, we postponed that. Staffing, we've talked about at length about the fire department. We've hired those, we're in the process of hiring those positions. We have 1 hired and we have 1 that we're looking for. So we'll have our 2 for the year. So we would have accomplished that goal without the SAFER grant. We knew we had a plan for if we got the SAFER grant, and if we didn't, we're moving on without it, and we'll reapply, as you just heard. Strategic plan development, that's what we're doing. We're talking about that. Water barn, we can call that a completion. Eric and his team have completed all of the upgrades that they wanted to do on that building, and that building should be squared away for a while. Comprehensive rate study, which Joe and I believe Joel will be coming to you and into the next month or this month
Either this latest month or early next month. We're about 90% done.
to present that to you. And I think it's just as a teaser, they thought our rates were pretty good, but I guess we'll hear more about that, and they'll be able to share with us what they think we need to be doing with our future rates
For the next 5 years.
Proactive communications, that's a plan that Megan will be taking care of. She's got to go to something this summer at TCU, which will help her with the preparation of that. And part of that class is the preparation of this. So she'll be bringing that forward to us. So you can see I've started to change those deadlines for the items that can't be accomplished or won't be accomplished. American Action, we already talked about those projects. We're in the design phase. I think we ought to see something pretty quick on the 4th Street pump station. They were really close to finishing that design out, working with contractors to ensure that we're going to be able to get it done. Develop funding mechanism report and direction. You know, we've issued that RFQ. That needs to. We're out there with that. That would be part of the impact fee study. So we are in the process of negotiating that price for that to happen. You'll see that. And remember, that's a 12 to 13-month project. So once we sign that contract, it'll be about a year before we hear back from them. During that process, they'll make 12 to 13 trips here. So there'll be updates and there'll be interviews and different things going on. All of that process for the impact fees is spelled out by the state legislature. So it's a lengthy process and they have to meet specific requirements and we have to do things. That's why that's such a long process. Financial policies, I know we've already upgraded several of those. Long-term is the long-term financing is the one that remains. You've already seen some of that. Joe and Joel will be coming forward soon to complete that. Working with Hector. Hector's asked to move number 15 to sometime in May. We've had a lot of other things going on. One of the things that took a lot of Hector's time in that area was our certification pay, which we're thankful for and worked out really well. So we thank you all for doing that, but that put him a little bit behind in this. So you'll see that, but it'll probably be May before we come forward with that. Economic framework, Joe's working on some of that.
Really got sent out a few minutes ago.
Yes, and that's gonna be something we're gonna see from EDC, and as we get a new director, there'll be some work on that, and you'll begin to see that. Water conservation plan, Dan has asked to postpone that. That's a lengthy process, and you'll see something later in the year, it'll probably be another year, but you'll see something on that from us. Wastewater master plan was unfunded, so there won't be any movement on that. Water rights supply report, that's an ongoing process. Business attraction plan, that is on hold again until we get the new director for CEDC. When you see the economic plan framework for EDC, listed on there is going to be how do we attract businesses and what should we be doing? And so that'll be coming forward. Subdivision ordinance, the one that Danny and I have talked about on other updates, we are ready for that to be finished. Stakeholder meetings are in December. We have invited 80 to 100 emails have been sent out to people who don't build homes in our community. We've invited them also. So we've reached out to as many folks as we can to get them to those meetings. Now it's their decision on whether they choose to come. With those emails, we provided links to both the subdivision and the zoning ordinances so that those people had those links and know those things are out there, and we've encouraged them to look over those and come to those meetings prepared to discuss that. TERS direction, you're gonna see that either on in December and possibly in November. We met on that. Thank you, Randy, led us through that meeting. And we adopted what we needed to adopt for you all. And now we will come forward and have you approve that, and we will be officially set up and running with that TERS. Housing growth, you can see that's already been completed. Stormwater drain, that grant has been approved on number 9. We're waiting to hear back from them, Joe, is that correct?
That's correct.
Development guide, that will be part of the stakeholders meeting. Once we finish those stakeholder meetings on the zoning and subdivision, we'll be able to complete that. That whole process came out of the fact that we wanted this development guide. We want to be able to hand a developer, someone that comes in here and how do I develop in Canyon, we want to hand them a guide that says, this is what you need to do, this is how you do it, this is how we interact with you, here's what you need to hand in, and here's some milestones, dates, how long it takes us to do something to turn that around to you. I think that'll be huge for us to be able to provide people with that. The zoning ordinance rewrite, again, that's coming. Alive Downtown Square, courthouse is we're waiting on the county to get their report back. They have yet to receive their report back from their architects that were reviewing the courthouse. So we'll have more to report once they come up with their ideas. Brick streets, you'll see something from Joe this spring.
Can I ask, so what are they saying timing of that? I mean, that was like pre-COVID that they were supposed to get
That was a long time
that was
ago.
all engaged, so.
And we have to remember that there was an architectural firm and they were in Austin.
Right.
Gallagher.
So we have to assume that COVID really slowed them down because being an architectural firm and being in Austin and being a historical architectural firm. We haven't,
Gotta be getting close to 3 years in
I,
on that though.
yeah,
It just doesn't make sense that it.
We
yeah,
will
it's
meet
taking
with
this
the,
long.
we meet with the judge and the commission, or the Randall County officials. Let's see,
that's coming up.
yeah,
It's been a while.
meet with them next Tuesday,
We'll ask that question.
and we'll check, it's always on the agenda, Gary.
Downtown Theater. I know there was some conversations associated with that, Joe.
Yeah, I know Mayor Henders has been trying to beat some of that path on the building owned by Mr. Blake. So, it's been slow going on conversations. So,
There's not a lot of interest on that end, but.
Yeah.
Keep at it.
Downtown Master Plan, you're gonna see that on December the 5th at our next meeting, well, our December meeting. Friesen Nichols will be here to present that to you all. We've had that on the website. We've pushed that out to others to look at, so we're coming forward to you. I will present that on Monday to P and Z also, so that they get a general idea of what's going on with that. And I would assume they'll be able to recommend that for adoption, just like the planning committee did that was involved with that. Goal number 4, strategic initiatives. Obviously, that's something we're working on. We're completed and ongoing as we move forward with those. Bike trail development. Brian and I have discussed the fact that we probably need to meet with our bike folks in December. There wasn't any interest earlier. They had a lot going on. Building those trails in Amarillo at the various parks, I think took a lot of their time. And over the summer, they were pretty busy. So let's see if we can't get something going in December.
And I did talk to Sneeder John back, not Sneeder.
Pitsimony?
Odzimini, yeah.
Yeah, Podzimini, back here, whenever we were talking about the bike trail park and
Yes.
all. And I think he would sure be good to go. He'd be good to go on a couple of things. Apparently Paladura, he had, I thought, almost had a green light on building some trails out there at one point. So maybe we can pursue that. But he's sure interested in the WT piece, and if we could kick off something and go ahead, get something with WT, green light. I think he'd even run some of the traps as far as the easements and all taken.
I just know this summer Brian did contact him and he was busy at that point in time. So we'll circle back with him and get that going. Intersection cleanup, 4th and 23rd, part of that's occurred as Buffs has grown. We'll continue to watch that. That's not anything that we can necessarily have an extremely active role in. We can assist others and kind of watch for that and see how things change and encourage people. But that's certainly something that we're aware of, and we'll continue to watch and have discussions with folks, hopefully encouraging people to make some changes there. Obviously, on the last page there, Paladura Canyon, obviously we had some success with that. And we've discussed that before, and we'll see what the summer holds for us on that.
And I've had a couple of conversations back and forth with Ken King, who's over the, actually one probably 2-3 weeks ago, and maybe just a couple of weeks ago. And so he kind of apologized for not getting back to me. Had a busy schedule through the session, but I think we can get the new director up. I think we continue, some of them may be baby steps or steps, but I think we can do that. I think we can.
And I think we all know that that's, the first time might not work, but the second time might work. It may take the third or fourth time that we do that. But if we continue on that path, maybe we'll get there. Major event site, Joe will be drafting a memo. He's working on that, and you'll see more information on that. There's been some other interest in town, so we'll see where that goes and just kind of see. There's obviously some interest, so we'll see where that ends up. Santa Fe project, I know Joe can speak to this, but I know he's followed up with them, and that's kind of just on hold. Those individuals that we were working with, I think they have the ball completely in their court.
You've been involved in that too, Mr. Mayor, as well. So I think our next steps will be a trip from mayor and city manager to see the individuals.
Golf course project funding, we are, I sent Casey an email just earlier this week. We'll be gathering, now that golf season has slowed down, we'll be talking about the irrigation system and meeting with Dan and Chris so that we can really determine what kind of water we're gonna need, how much water we're gonna need, what kind of piping we're gonna need as far as just to get the water to the irrigation system. And then also Adolfo is lining up a structural engineer to go and speak with John and Casey about the cart barn. So both of those projects are moving along, and those are long picture things. We know those are 2025 when those events are going to occur, but we want to get as many ducks in a row so we can come to you all and explain that to you all and get your commitment moving forward on that. Buffalo Hills, we completed that. Thank you for adopting those dedications for Buffalo Hills and for Brown Road. So we've completed that item also. And then the interlocal agreement continues to be on our list of.
Changed a lot with buying that property at the water tower, so that kind of put that on the back burner.
Kind of changed, it changed, yes, kind of evolved at that point. So we were able to complete a few more things. I hope that when I come to you for the fourth quarter, there'll be 8 or 10 more things checked off. There'll be some other things that we'll be a little further down the road on. Any questions on those items?
I think I've got one question, almost more for the commission and all too. If we're about a year in, we've still got a lot of things and some push date-wise or adjustments there. I really kind of wonder versus going back through another, and I don't know what the plan is as far as strategic session with Lyle, but I would think we'd be good to wait at least a year before another really comprehensive one. We might have a time where the commission prioritizes dates or something like that, but I don't know, that's just my thought. I don't know that we need to go through that process.
Mr. Burns, will you elaborate on what we're looking at with Lyle going forward?
Yeah, it sounds like, and again, we possibility talking to them tomorrow on the phone just to kind of follow up on that. He talks about you would have your individual sessions again like you did last time. Your conversations,
Phone calls.
a phone call with the commission or Zoom, whatever your pleasure is there, where each one of you individually is able to talk to him and provide your input. He would consolidate that information. He would send us the worksheets that the department heads and staff completed last time. We would work through those worksheets, coming up with items again that would be goals and objectives. At that point, he would place those things together, and then his visit would be just the final creating of dates and coming before you all and putting your goals and objectives with our goals and objectives, which is what he did on that visit to us. That's what it sounds like to me. But I would need to.
I do think we need to do some type of refinement and probably have some closed session conversations on some of these items, on some of the challenges economic development wise, and property acquisition wise. A little more in-depth conversations on some hidden challenges that we probably didn't see when we set out on this course.
Go ahead. Premature to me. I think we still got a lot to chew on. I think we could go through some of that process, almost even with just us, or very maybe briefly with Lyle. But yeah, I think we've got a lot still to dig into here. So.
Seems like we got a lot of low-hanging fruit out there still.
That we've got here.
Not sure my opinion's changed on anything since the last time we spoke.
To go through really a whole lot of process.
Well, because speaking for the different sections, like Alive Downtown, that specific section, the theater and some other things, the courthouse, those kind of things aren't moving anywhere anytime soon. We know that. I mean, we can't.
There's nothing we can do.
Nothing we can do about that.
Control.
That's gonna continue on, so that's gonna be on your list. I think the important aspect would be finding the new things, because as I go through here and just check some boxes, I think I'll come back in the fourth quarter. I think you could hold me accountable. I bet we'll have 3/4 of these done at that point in time that are unchecked. And then there'll be these things that we can't get. So I think staff has enjoyed, I think, well, I don't know, enjoy is the best word, but I think we've liked having a target. And so if we can create those targets, just speaking, if we can create those targets through you all in some other method, I think that's great for us. Because then I felt like that we've spent more time on the same page this year by moving toward these. Joe, does that?
I think it
Does that
sums it
make
up pretty
sense?
well the way I feel as well.
And so whether we need to do that process or not, you know, our goal with them on the phone was to find out exactly what that process was, to come back to you all and explain that process. But if the feeling is after we've done that, that you feel like we can do something else, I bet we can do that.
Well, that may be something important to do after a May election.
To me, it kind of feels that way too. We could do it about this time next year or something, and I do. I think there is still quite a bit of low-hanging fruit, and like the theater part, there may be some that's not an easy one to knock off, but it may take a little bit more focus and be intentional how we, you know, get there. So
There's about 7 or 8 of those that are long-term.
in long term, but you know, some of them with maybe more focus, you know, might could get there and all too. So,
Well, maybe we'll come back with you all then with our, after we've talked to him and kind of see what that picture is, we'll present that picture to you and let you all make a decision on whether we want to go that route. And then maybe we'll have some other suggestions for another route.
Probably the fourth quarter in December. I guess you're gonna do one in December. Might be an idea of when we can bring that back. Cause then you'll have this updated on where we've at, cause we'll have a bunch of these checked off. Some of these will be hanging out there, like police station and bond package is gonna be hanging out until
We just
this.
know that's,
I mean,
but
it's
we
not
know where
going
that
anywhere.
is.
Courthouse is outside of our control. The cleanup on the intersections outside of our control, but probably needs some closed session conversations on that. Some of these are outside, and some of these are gonna take years. There'll be several that take years.
you know, at some point though, the courthouse, I think, could be some impetus too. You know, okay, if the county does finally get that architect study, what can we do? You know, what are the pieces we could be? And we aren't the big player in it, but the EDC maybe can help. And anyway, at some point, there will be some focus on some of these others too, I think. So.
Love the optimism on the courthouse. My optimism is drying up every day. But we're continuously having those conversations about the courthouse.
And this has held us accountable, and I think it's also held you all accountable as far as we move forward with these, and it's enabled us to not let things fall off the table, which sometimes just do.
I agree, it's a great process.
I think
it's been good to keep.
Let us update it and bring it back for the fourth quarter, and see where we're at and what we have left. John might separate some of the big ticket items, the long-term items out of what he thinks of, hey, it's gonna be a while, and then y'all can make the decision then. What y'all wanna do, and we might wait up to May and all that, but, and we're good either way. I think John's thing is we're gonna get past some of the lower hanging fruit will be done, and we'll be past that, and we'll just be working on the long year term types of things. And so I think he's worried about that, and that's why we should renew it at that point, in my opinion. But if everybody's acceptable with that, move forward, let's go from there.
Okay. Any other questions for John or Joe? All right, well, thank you all. I do, I think it's been a great process, and I think it has held all of us accountable. So I think it's good to keep our eyes on the ball there. So. All right, item number 11, executive session pursuant to 551.071, consultation with attorney, and 551.074, personnel matters, EDC director. With that, we will retire into exec session. And for the deputy students here, thank you all for joining us. And unless you wanted to sit here and wait for the next 30 minutes, you are welcome to go. So, but thanks for joining us in the process.
514 there?
Yes.
And if you do not get assigned a vendor, there are some, if you can,